She punched an old woman, then found out it was her boss's mother. Now her entire life is about to change in ways she couldn't imagine. Like and subscribe as we dive into this exciting story. The day started like any other for Aisha. Lagos traffic had tested her patience from the moment she stepped out of her shared apartment. Her Bolt ride had been cancelled twice, her wig wasn't sitting right, and her phone battery was down to 18%. And now, after finally reaching the mall to grab a few essentials before her job interview, she found herself standing in the world's slowest checkout line. "Can people be any slower?" she muttered under her breath, glancing at her watch. 10:32 a.m. Her interview was at 11 o'clock. She shifted from foot to foot, eyeing the older woman in front of her, who appeared to be struggling with her wallet and arguing softly with the cashier over change. "Madam, a big now," Aisha snapped, louder than she meant to. "If you don't have money, please step aside. Some of us have jobs to chase." The woman turned slightly, a bit startled. She was small, hunched, and frail-looking. Her wrapper was clean but faded. Her hands trembled slightly as she held out her Naira notes. "Sorry, dear. Don't sorry dear me. You bumped into my cart earlier and didn't even apologize. Now you're holding everyone up." A few murmurs stirred behind her. Aisha could feel people watching, but her temper had taken the wheel. The old woman attempted to move aside, but in doing so, she gently bumped Aisha's shopping bag again. That was it. Without thinking, Aisha shoved her shoulder, not hard, but enough to knock the woman off balance. Her bag tumbled. The old woman stumbled, fell sideways, and hit the tiled floor with a gasp. The sound sucked the air out of the room. "Oh my God," the cashier screamed. "What's wrong with you?" someone else barked. Aisha stood frozen, blinking. It had happened so fast. The old woman didn't move for a moment. A mall security guard rushed over. "Is she okay?" someone asked. The old woman groaned, slowly sitting up with help. Her head was bleeding slightly. She fell on her elbow, a man said, helping her gather her spilled groceries. "I didn't mean to," Aisha finally said, defensively. "She bumped into me first. And she was being rude." But no one was buying it. "You pushed an old woman," the cashier whispered. "Over impatience." Security asked for her ID, but Aisha quickly stormed out, shaken and embarrassed. As she hurried through the glass doors and into the parking lot, she failed to notice a tall, calm man standing a few feet away. He had seen everything. He had been there the entire time. And as he helped the old woman into a waiting car, his face remained unreadable, except for one subtle detail. The photo of that same elderly woman sat proudly on his desk at the top floor of Cole Media Group, where Aisha had just submitted her resume for a senior assistant role. And the man? Was Adrian Cole. CEO. Son. Witness. A storm was quietly brewing. Aisha sat in the plush lobby of Cole Media Group, legs crossed tightly, hands folded on her handbag. Her nerves had finally caught up with her. "Okay, deep breath," she told herself. "The incident at the mall is behind you. Nobody here knows." She adjusted her blazer and smoothed out her skirt. Despite the chaos of the morning, she still looked sharp, perfectly drawn brows, neutral lipstick, clean resume printed on thick paper. She had prepped for this interview for weeks. At exactly 11:02 a.m., the receptionist's phone buzzed. "Miss Aisha Bello," the receptionist called out. "The CEO will see you now." Aisha blinked. "The CEO? Not HR. He personally requested to meet all final candidates." Wow, Aisha thought, standing. This is my big shot. As she stepped into the elevator, a mix of ambition and anxiety danced in her stomach. She wasn't sure why the CEO himself was handling interviews for a personal assistant, but it didn't matter. This was her chance to escape the daily hustle, to finally work somewhere prestigious, and maybe even get her mother out of the small flat they shared. She reached the 18th floor and was ushered into a large, bright office. There he was. Adrian Cole. Tall. Clean-cut. Calm. He stood behind his desk in a crisp navy suit. "Good morning, Miss Bello," he said evenly. "Good morning, sir," she replied, smiling politely and offering her hand. He shook it firmly, then gestured for her to sit. "So, tell me a bit about yourself," he began, watching her closely. Aisha launched into her rehearsed pitch: education, past jobs, skills, even a few jokes about her journey to Lagos and how she's had to hustle to survive. Adrian nodded occasionally, but his face never quite softened. It was unreadable. She couldn't tell if he was impressed or bored. Then he leaned back slightly. "How do you handle pressure, Miss Bello?" "Very well," she said confidently. "I've worked under harsh bosses, tight deadlines. I know how to stay composed. Even in frustrating situations?" She paused slightly. "Yes. I believe patience and communication are key." He didn't react. Just tapped his pen. "Tell me about a time you handled a misunderstanding gracefully." Her throat tightened. She wasn't sure if it was her imagination, but something about the question, it felt pointed. Images of the mall incident flashed in her mind: the fall, the blood, the old woman's face. She forced a smile. "I've had moments where I had to apologize, even when I wasn't completely at fault. I tried to listen first and respond calmly." Adrian studied her. "Interesting." There was a pause. Aisha shifted in her seat. The air in the room felt heavy now. "Would you say you respect elders?" The question hit her squarely. "Yes, of course," she said quickly. "Even in public places? When tensions rise?" Her palms started to sweat. Something was off. "Mr. Cole, may I ask, am I being tested?" Adrian finally smiled, but it wasn't the warm kind. "Let me rephrase. Do you believe everyone, regardless of status, deserves kindness?" Aisha hesitated. "Yes. I do." He nodded slowly. "That's good to hear." He stood. "That'll be all for now, Miss Bello. We'll be in touch." Confused, Aisha stood too. They shook hands again. His was firm, but not cold. She left the office trying to replay the entire interview in her head. Something about it felt strange. Like she had missed something. She had no idea that the old woman she shoved at the mall was his mother. And Adrian? He already knew everything. Like and make sure to subscribe for part 2, because what happens next will shock you. Also comment part 2 in the comments.